To fill you in quickly on what this is about, the story is this. In 1965, the beat poet Gary Snyder, he and his friend Philip Whalen, who's dead now, Allen Ginsberg, also dead at this point, but the three of them decided to conduct a ritual, but playful, accent on the word playful, circumambulation of Mount Tamalpais in Marin County. And the intention was to honor the mountain, celebrate the mountain, and honor it through an act of poetic devotional attentions. Inspiration for the event occurred when Jack Kerouac and Gary Snyder got together in the late 50s, and it's an event that's recounted in this book that Jack wrote called The Dharma Bums. Gary was getting ready to go off to Japan to study Zen Buddhism, and he had been living in a cabin in Marin, and so right before he was leaving for Japan, Allen and all the other poets in the San Francisco Poetry Renaissance got together, had this party. It went on for 3 days out there in the woods of Marin. And after 3 days of this dissipation, Gary was pretty fed up, and Jack too, and they decided they would slip away. And Jack writes about it in The Dharma Bums, and you'll hear a little bit about what he wrote when I play you the video. The real significance of the gesture was to actively embody the recitation of poetry in a particular landscape, so that the landscape and the elementals there become partners to a human poetic gesture. And then the third thing that I think is important about what they did and what we try to do is that they insisted on nothing, but they really tried to listen and hearken to the spirit of place and the spirit of the time. So in other words, they didn't proceed like striving Fausts to impose their wills on a world and a situation. They actually relaxed into it more like Parsifals. And so the sauntering, meandering path that they were following was more like this relaxation into the path leading perhaps eventually to the Grail Castle, one might say. And then there was this attempt to attune the word to the world. To My Guardian Angel by North American poet Philip Thatcher. Will there be a reprieve for you when this life is spent? A time of respite, a sabbatical, a heavenly holiday from me tucked away in a cloud, off-grid, where a cosmic sextet goes at it, measured, mellow, yet with that edge cutting into what could be the archetypal sound that gave birth to kind of blue, flowing through you and your colleagues. Well, that was a life and a half, says the one, settling in beside you, as you both let go of us for however long. You might then make your way to a mountaintop retreat on your own, as you feel your way back through the days of my life, The times you subtly, abruptly kept me from disaster, and that was good. The times you let me walk into fire of my own making to learn from that, and that was good. A time you could have let me fall on my face and pick up the pieces, but didn't, and maybe you should have, yet in the end, that too proved to be good. As you balance this life, as you make ready for the life to come, longing to walk me, with me, a further step into the becoming of myself. As you bring forth the moment you, with your colleagues, first beheld in the lightning darkness, the flash, the promise of a free human life. Thinking together, yes, this could work. Standing here with Jonathan Donehower from Portland, Oregon. Jonathan, what is your reaction to the morning here on Mount Tam?
It was a beautiful sunrise and a nice, beautiful day out here.
And there you've heard it, folks. Thank you very much. Okay, so this is the circle in the grass. It's the second PowerPoint. I'll read a poem by poet Nicholas Morrow from Washington State. The title of the poem is All Souls Day. All Souls Day comes round as a nodal point of light on the cosmic wheel. It is not the end or living we celebrate, but the communion of souls that travel together on this journey of human becoming and divine awakening. As the hollowed light draws near and veils grow thin, memories are freed from the sheaths of our souls. We appear as a dream, remembering poignant moments, dancing through meadows of delight, or meeting on fields of combat and confrontation, working out our karma, polishing the mirror, celebrating our victories and defeats. The stars speak so we can hear in a language more sublime and of a finer essence than breath or thought, of what has been or will be. And we know that our sheaths and theirs are of the same ethereal substance that love is made of. In the hush that follows, music resounds, and we are carried on the breath of light, witnessing time. We are seen, and the seer is us, consecrating existence. I place a candle on the altar with your picture, radiant, glowing, as you were in life, smiling, anticipating our reunion, without barriers or hesitation. Okay, now we are at Station 3, the amphitheater and Rock Spring and the signpost. We're heading that way, towards Potrero Meadows. This is the actual site behind me. I'll be reading a poem by Nicholas Morrow called Coming Home. And so it is that life becomes richer, vast in an expanding inner universe, recognizing others, dancing with the beloveds, in dreams, in poetry, in moments of bright awareness, with the veil growing thin, transparent, opening us to the mystery and welcoming us home.
That's a pretty good hike though, to bring people through a 16-miler though. I didn't realize it was that far. 'Cause I remember being tired as a kid doing it, but I don't really have anything to say. How much do you need me to say for the microphone check? It's definitely coming. It definitely goes across on the 2 channel numbers there, right?
Yes.
Is that how you tell?
Yeah.
Okay. This one was all the way across.
What is your favorite color?
Blue. No red.
Hello, buckaroos. Now we are in Potrero Meadows. Rifle camp is over that way. This is Potrero Meadows camp. I'm going to read a poem by Daniel Davis called Ode to Synesthesia. Now, dead, Ginsberg, rang bells over my head in the music hall. The perfect acoustic above and around absorbed his handwork. But not now. A taste of that thin brass his whitened fingers dinged, lingers, rim, ring, sing. Looking up back toward Rifle Camp, down that way, which leads on to the Serpentine Rocks and Inspiration Point. I'm going to read a poem by Peter Rennick called Wearing the Mountain Valentine. Don't we have work to do? And yet, I find you staring at the aspen, or searching the clouds. There are no clouds in the perfect blue. As though you're trying to continue some lost dream, now half awake. What mountain are you walking around? What old trails do you hope will lead you to yourself? Don't you see the one behind you and the one who runs ahead? How your feet are wearing the mountain away? Old friend, come home to me. Mount Tamalpais Circumambulation, written May 5th, 1995, by me. Clouds float, black crows gather. We are alone on this mountain, in the midst of a mighty crowd. I do not know the language that water speaks to air, air to earth, earth to fire, fire to the rooted stuff cast off, shards of the fallen gospel, buried by jackals of Anubis, buried by the rabbis of the Essene, buried by the nameless monks of Chartres, lamed in a shadowed grotto, sucked from the breasts of virgins where black-faced infants sleep. These wild lesions culled from roses find no harmonious song within my brain. Orbits, telluric buzz, metempsychosis of the white-noised tenderloin heat. I believe this gravity of salt and carbon and asphalt. I believe the counterpoint of mind. I believe each way down the mountain is private as a name, a noun and verb, well spoken, a trodden secret, trail invisible, well mapped, trafficked like a life of ordinary means, finding in this poverty abundance, glyphs of a changeless, changing scene.
You weren't ready.
That's all right. I'm here. Is it filming?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm going to read a poem called Tamalpais Valentine by Peter Rennick. Wide open for business, Tamalpais stirs. Enlightenment customers, an anxious queue of ants with the sun for sale. Many fashionable colors, many sizes, with prices slashed and planned surprises. When you reach the summit of the barely climbing cost, where kind Tamalpais moves to give it all away, the light all wrapped and shining, delivered in a day. The party went on for days. The morning of the third day, people were still sprawled about the grounds when Jaffe and I sneaked our rucksacks out with a few choice groceries and started down the road in the orange early morning sun of California golden days. It was going to be a great day. We were back in our element, trails. Jaffe was in high spirits. God damn it, it feels good to get away from dissipation and go in the woods. When I get back from Japan, Ray, when the weather gets really cold, we'll put on our long underwear and hitchhike through the land. Think, if you can, of ocean to mountain Alaska to Klamath, a solid forest of fir to Biku Inn, a lake of 1,000,000 wild geese. Whoo! You know what whoo means in Chinese? What? Fog. These woods are great here in Marin. I'll show you Muir Woods today. But up north is all that real old Pacific coast mountain and ocean land, the future home of the Dharma body. Know what I'm gonna do? I'll do a new long poem called Rivers and Mountains Without End, and just write it on a scroll, and unfold on with new surprises, and always what went before forgotten. See, like a river, or like one of them real long Chinese silk paintings that show two little men hiking in an endless landscape of gnarled old trees and mountains so high they merge with the fog in the upper silk void. I'll spend 3,000 years writing it. It'll be packed full of information on soil conservation, the Tennessee Valley Authority, astronomy, geology, Chuanchu's travels, Chinese painting theory, reforestation, oceanic ecology, and food chains. Go to it, boy! As ever I strode on behind him, and when we began to climb, with our packs feeling good on our backs, as though we were pack animals and didn't feel right without a burden. It was that same old, lonesome, good old thwop, thwop, thwop up the trail slowly, a mile an hour. We came to the end of the steep road, where we had to go through a few houses built near steep bushy cliffs and waterfalls trickling down, then up to a high steep meadow full of butterflies and hay and little, 7 a.m. dew, and down to a dirt road, and then to the end of the dirt road, which rose higher and higher till we could see vistas of Corte Madera and Mill Valley far away, and even the red top of the Golden Gate Bridge. Tomorrow afternoon, on our run to Stinson Beach, said Jaffe, you'll see the whole white city of San Francisco miles away in the blue bay. Ray, by God, later on in our future life, we can have a fine freewheeling tribe in these California hills, get girls, and have dozens of radiant, enlightened brats. Live like Indians in hogans and eat berries and buds. No beans? We'll write poems, and we'll get a printing press and print our own poems, the Dharma Press. We'll poetize a lot and make a fat book of icy bombs for the booby public. The public ain't so bad. They suffer too, I said. You always read about some trapper tar paper shack burning somewhere in the Middle West with 3 little children perishing, and you see a picture of the parents crying. Even the kitty was burned. Jaffe, do you think God made the world to amuse himself because he was bored? Because if so, he would have to be mean. Ha! Who would you mean by God? I don't know, just Tathagata, if you will. Well, it says in the sutra that God, or Tathagata, doesn't doesn't himself emanate a world from his womb, but it just appears due to the ignorance of sentient beings. But he emanated the sentient beings and their ignorance too, I said. It's all too pitiful. I ain't gonna rest till I find out why. Why, Jaffe? Ah, don't trouble your mind essence. Remember that in pure Tathagata mind essence, there is no asking of the question why, and not even any significance attached to it. Well, then, I don't know, nothing's really happening then. And he threw a stick at me and hit me on the foot. Well, that happened, he said. Oh, I really don't know, Ray, but I appreciate your sadness about the world. It is sad indeed. Look at that party the other night. Everybody wanted to have a good time, and they tried real hard. But we all woke up the next day, and we felt sort of bad and separate and so forth. And what do you think about death, Ray? I think death is our reward. When we die, we go straight to Nirvana heaven, and that's that. But supposing you're reborn in the lower hells and have red hot balls of iron shoved down your throat by devils. Life's already shoved an iron foot down my throat. But I don't think that's anything but a dream cooked up by some hysterical monk who didn't understand Buddha's peace under the bow tree, or for that matter, Christ's peace looking down on the heads of his tormentors and forgiving them. You really like Christ, don't you? Oh, of course I do. And after all, a lot of people say he is the Maitreya, the Buddha prophesied to come after Sakyamuni. You know, Maitreya means love in Sanskrit, and that's all Christ was talking about, you know, about love. Oh, don't start preaching Christianity to me. I can just see you on your deathbed kissing the cross like some old Karamazov. Or like our old friend Dwight Goddard, who spent his life as a Buddhist and suddenly returned to Christianity in his last days. That's not for me. I want to spend hours every day in a lonely temple meditating in front of a sealed statue of Kwannon, which no one is ever allowed to see because it's too powerful. Strike hard, old diamond. It'll all come out in the wash. Okay, good job. That was really good. Let's see if we had the record button pushed right. I think we did.